Hello everybody, thank you very much for joining me today for another Twilight Zone video in my Twilight Zone ranking series where I rank every episode of the original Twilight Zone from my least favorite to my favorite. Today I'm going to be talking about number 8 on the list, Number 12 Looks Just Like You, written by John Tomerlin based on a story by Charles Beaumont. This episode was directed by Abner Biberman. It is a season 5 episode, and as always, there will be spoilers. So, number 12 Looks Just Like You is a Twilight Zone episode that has always been a favorite of mine ever since the first time I saw it, and honestly has only gotten better and better for me each time I watch it. In some ways, I feel like this is the scariest and most disturbing Twilight Zone episode of them all. If anything, on this rewatch, the episode disturbed me even more. It's a very atmospheric and creepy episode. I expected this one to land somewhere in the top 20, and it wound up coming in the top 10, and I am really impressed with this episode. The concept is really great, and I think this episode was ahead of its time in a lot of ways. The episode feels pretty modern with some of its themes and the way it was shot, edited, and directed. This is another episode that feels like a theatrical film as well, which I always appreciate. The acting is great all the way around. Colin Wilcox, Richard Long, Susie Parker are all really good, but Pamela Austin is the real standout for me in this episode, but all the acting is really good. This episode is about a young woman named Marilyn who is supposed to undergo, I guess you would call it a transformation. When you are 19 years old, you go through a process where you are changed. You pick from some different models that all look very similar. So basically what happens is you pick a number and you look like everyone else who has that number. Yes, it's all very, very creepy. So this is supposed to increase your life expectancy, and it also makes some mental changes as well, which is very disturbing. This whole concept as presented in the show is really creepy, and I'm getting a little creeped out talking about it now, honestly. The issue is that this girl Marilyn doesn't want to undergo the transformation, even though her mother and her friend Valerie don't understand her and want her to be like everybody else. So it turns out that Marilyn gets her so-called radical ideas from her father, who was so distraught over his own transformation that he did himself in. So naturally, Marilyn's mother, who's also very creepy, takes her to see a doctor to try and convince her into talking about the benefits of the transformation. So Marilyn is still not convinced the procedure is a good idea, so she is put into a room until further evaluations can be made. Marilyn is also visited by her friend Valerie, and as they talk, she eventually breaks down. She still really doesn't want to have this procedure, but Valerie has absolutely no emotional reaction at all, and Valerie is also very creepy, so there's definitely a pattern forming here. Marilyn decides she has no hope to escape, and in an intense scene, she tries to escape, but winds up in the operating room where the procedure takes place. So we cut away to the next scene, and it turns out Marilyn has had the procedure, probably against her will, and tells Valerie the best part is, "I look just like you." Very, very creepy and disturbing. And I have to say that while all the acting is good, Pamela Austin just nails the acting in this final scene, and I am officially disturbed, if I haven't brought that up yet already. So number 12 Looks Just Like You is a very thought-provoking episode that tackles some themes that I feel were ahead of their time in a lot of ways, like a lot of Twilight Zones. This was not normal 1960s TV viewing. I feel like a lot of fans like this episode, but maybe don't rank it, as highly as some of the other classics. But for me, number 12 Looks Just Like You is an all-time classic that I think was very well written, tense, and well directed. And I think it's an episode that really is among Twilight Zone's greatest. It's also my second favorite episode from season 5. So overall, I love this episode, and number 12 Looks Just Like You comes in for me at number 8 on the list. As always, feel free to let me know if you liked this episode or not. Thank you for your continued support, and thanks for watching.